Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you've ever felt like your voice didn't matter, like your story wasn't worth sharing, you're not alone. At the Empowerography Live in-person conference this year, we brought together voices from around the world, women who chose to stand up, speak out, and share stories that changed lives. And here's the truth. Your voice matters too. If you've ever felt that pull to share your story as a guest on a podcast, to start your own podcast, or step into your power, this isn't random. It is your invitation. Head over to empowerographypodcast.com and see how you can turn your voice into impact, because your story isn't just yours. It's someone else's survival guide. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Jole Berlage Buccellati. Did I do that right? Yeah, Buccellati. Excellent. Sorry.
Well done.
Jole is an independent sensemaker, a leadership coach, and an author that reframes high sensitivity and deep thinking as strategic leadership capacities for a world in crisis. Welcome, Jole. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, and I'm so happy to be on your show.
I am so excited to have you here and to jump in and to talk about all of the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do, share a little bit about your story, your journey, and I'm just excited to have you here. We are here, and let's just thank you. Thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today. With all of that being said, with me half butchering your name, and let's jump in. Although I have to say, you did say I did pretty good, better than some of your friends can do, so I am grateful for that, and thank you for sharing.
The pleasure is entirely mine, and I know that name is a mouthful for anyone who doesn't speak Italian and German in parallel. So.
Well, let's see if I can remember it by the time we end the interview when I come back and do the outro. I might need some help and a reminder. Anyway, let's get this party started. When did you realize that your depth, slowness, and sensitivity weren't things to fix, but their capacities the world is actually starving for? And what was the catalyst moment for you that woke you up to that realization?
Yeah, I reflected on that question a lot. And I have to say, there was no catalyst moment for it. There was a catalyst moment in terms of my own self-empowerment, which was when I was studying music therapy. I was getting a master's in music therapy. You know, you have to do group therapy. You know, you have to work on yourself. And the professor we had for that group therapy, before he left for retirement, he said to me, you know, why are you always so anxious in finding out whether people like you? I would suggest you start asking the question, do I like that person? So what he was actually pointing out to me, and that was a huge game changer for me, he pointed out to me that I was always people-pleasing and that I was giving away my power entirely in order, for what I now know, to be safe, right? So he made me a huge gift. He really made me a huge gift by that. It stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like, there's a huge difference, right? And when I started working with clients, and to sort of answer the second part of your question, I kept that in the back of my mind. And as it happens, 90% of the clients that came to me for either counseling or therapy or coaching turned out to be highly sensitive people that struggled with exactly the same things. And I had such interesting conversations with my clients. And that is how it grew in me, that I had actually a population in front of me that was a lot more capable in looking realistically at what's going on in the world and to want to do something about it rather than being complacent and not caring, and that they had such abilities, to connect dots and to connect dots in
Hmm.
ways that to me was like, well, finally. You know? And that's how it grew on me. And when I started to do, hang around more with people in business arenas and, get business coaching myself, I said, yeah, that's, sensitive people are the missing link in this discussion. Their take on the
Hmm.
world, the way they observe things and discern things and how they would like to act is different. And it's what's missing in the discussion.
Right.
So long
Yeah.
answer.
What a what a huge perspective shift though. Like you said though, it stopped you dead in your tracks. That could be very jarring to get that kind of a realization thrown at you, and to sit with that and then realize, holy shit, I am people pleasing. Why am I so worried about what everyone thinks about me when I should just be doing what I'm here to do, and to shift the conversation, to shift the perspective, and to look at it through a different
Yeah,
lens.
totally. Though in my case, I have to say, I was already 50 years old, so I was aware that I tended to people please. But it was the second part of it that, and then it was so wild for me, is
Hmm.
that reframe, that to actually have the right to say, you know what, I don't care about that person. The huge empath in me was like, I can't
Hmm.
say that. It will hurt the person.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
or if I
Hmm.
don't, support that person in the group because we are so aware of what, the emotional, what's going on in groups, all that things that are unsaid. And I always felt I have to carry all those things. And in that short, the short two sentences, he just went wham. You know?
That is a lot to carry
Hmm.
for sure. So, in your opinion, Yole, who taught us that sensitivity was a liability instead of a leadership instrument? Because this is a huge shift in leadership, in business, in entrepreneurship. And who benefits from that lie still being perpetuated and
Hmm.
alive today?
So we could go historically back to many things. Um, One is,
Hmm.
before we start talking about the dark tetrad, one is definitely trauma. I think we live in a society that is, or in societies that are deeply traumatized by war, power struggles, and very violent
Hmm.
paradigms when it comes to what is successful, what's a strong person, how do you behave when you want something. Then, if you add the church to it, um, that didn't want anybody to have a powerful, discerning opinion on anything other than their take, especially with
Hmm.
women, especially
Yeah.
with women. And a lot of
Hmm.
the sensitive people were what they then called the witches, right? They were the women that
Right.
carried,
Hmm.
deep knowledge about medicine, that care the sage people, the sage men, the priests, you name it, because they were in their way.
Hmm.
So they made sure that they, can you say deviled? That they imprinted it as
Yeah.
something really dangerous. So I think that's the historical part. And then we have,
Hmm.
definitely since the industrial age and, in big industries and these big corporations and banks, people in power tend to fall into two categories. One is whatever the person in power says, I will do in order to earn money. And the
Hmm.
second category is
Yeah.
what's called the dark tetrad, which is, and I'll just read it, narcissists, Machiavellian people,
Hmm.
psychopaths, and sadists.
Hmm.
And there are these studies that a huge proportion of people in power fall into one of these four categories. Now, you can
Right.
imagine that they have no room for people that are more complex, that see the in-betweens, that actually see through their game, right?
Hmm. Oh, they don't want any of that. They don't want independent free thinkers.
None
They
of that.
none of that, because that interrupts their power. That goes against what they stand for and what they
Yeah,
believe
they,
in.
they most of these people believe in, personal gain, period. For
Hmm.
various
Yep.
reasons.
Yep.
Each of these, categories has different reasons for it, but they're
Hmm.
absolutely
Hmm.
not interested in community or, you know.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I just want to touch on what you mentioned previously about the witches, that era history. I would say in the last 4 or 5 months, I recently learned about the Salem witch trials, like the truth behind the Salem witch trial. And I have to say, I was fucking blown away by what I learned. The fact that these women were persecuted and burned at the stake because they had money, because they had power, because they had land, all of these things. And they didn't want these women having that kind of power, because in their eyes, a woman with power is very
Exactly.
dangerous. And land, money, those things equaled power in their minds. And I just think that the stories that have been perpetuated about the Salem witch trials, the bullshit narrative that we've been fed, is unbelievable. Honestly, I was absolutely blown away, because I had
Uh-huh.
no idea that that was the truth behind it. And when I learned it, I was like, "Holy you've got to be
Yeah.
kidding me!"
Yeah.
So if that happened, how many other bullshit narratives have we been fed? Even just
Oh
talking
yeah.
about women
Yeah. Yeah.
specifically, like how many more have we been fed? But overarching, like overall, can we believe anything we've been told? It's mind
Yeah,
blowing to
especially the
me.
Christian church. I mean, I really have to say, I mean, if you go back in history,
Oh,
is
gee.
actually I read no, I listened to an audiobook that described the Irish Christian church before Rome actually kicked in.
Mhm,
And that, for anybody who's interested, is a very, very interesting take, because women were very powerful in that church. And when the Roman Catholic
mhm,
Church started infiltrating Ireland, through the English going there and the power struggles, they made sure that
mhm.
that tradition disappeared completely. So, it
It
could have
is
gone either way,
unbelievable.
But what I want to say is that, that deep ancestral trauma that women carry with that, and the social
Mhm.
imprint we have,
Yeah,
and especially the sensitive ones, to go into any kind of position of power as a woman, not mimicking a man,
yeah,
is, the one
yeah.
exception is if you inherit a lot of money and your family extracts a position of power out of women having money and
Mhm,
power, like the aristocrat
mhm,
ladies in the times back. If they
yeah,
served their family hierarchy or family, power structure, they could do what they wanted. But that was the sole exception.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we see this today, although I think we are seeing a shift, but we see this today where women are having to adopt masculine traits in the boardroom, in corporate, and wearing pantsuits, and they've got to adopt this masculine energy because they're not respected or treated with respect if they're acting in their feminine energy, which is, I mean, that right there alone is absolutely fucking insane. Why does a woman have to adopt masculine energy to get anywhere in business? That's ridiculous. They should be able to just be who they are. Feminine energy. Yes, we both have masculine and feminine energy within us, men and women. But why should women have to put on a front if a woman is seen or is what's the word I'm looking for? If she is what's the word? It escapes me
Which,
now.
which direction do
If
you want to
she
go?
is she's seen aggressive if she has aspirations to succeed, to grow, to expand, to move up the ladder. She's seen as aggressive. She's seen
Yeah,
as a
yeah, yeah.
bitch. She's seen as this, as that, and it's
Even by
absolutely
women, by the way.
ridiculous.
Even by
But if
women.
a man
Even
if
by
a
women,
man does it,
right?
yes. Yeah. Absolutely. But if a man, it's completely oh, way to go, buddy.
Exactly.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And I think we are seeing a shift, but it's just ridiculous the shit that women have had to deal with
Yeah.
and put up
And
with.
let's
And,
take that. Let's take that
you
because we
know,
can take it in German, we'd say one-on-one for sensitive people. And then, it goes for men too.
mhm,
To this day, the word
mhm.
sensitive in America is a dirty word for a man, right? So
Yes. Yeah.
men that
Oh,
carry
yeah.
this trait have a much harder, even harder path. Yeah, because they are in a boardroom and they have
Mhm,
all these skills and they also have to pretend that
mhm.
they're just like the narcissist in the room and to even
Yeah.
be heard. Yeah, so they
Yeah.
suppress.
It's crazy. And that ties back to the conditioning as boys being told to not show emotion, put on your big
Mm,
boy pants, don't stop crying like a little girl. All of this I've been talking about this for a while, and that needs to change too. And we need to start educating our boys. It needs to start at a young age, that letting them know that it is okay for all of this. See, I didn't
mm,
experience that as a kid because I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. So that was always encouraged. I didn't have to go through that. But I do know that it is very common among boys predominantly that this is the way you've got to behave. You can't show your emotions. That's girls do
mm.
that kind of shit. Put on your big all of this it's all bullshit. And we need to change the narrative. We need to change the perspective. We need to change the lens we're looking at this stuff through
Definitely.
so that no one has to feel that internal struggle of, oh my God, I can't be who I really am. I can't be who I authentically am. I can't step into and own my
Mm.
emotions. It's, as you said, sensitive or sensitivity is a
Yeah.
dirty word. And I
Yeah,
think that's
but I'd like to,
ridiculous.
if I may, go a little bit deeper because I think we're just hitting something
Hmm.
really
Hmm.
important. Because in my
Hmm.
world, the word sensitive does not just signify emotional. It signifies picking up subtle
Yeah.
signals. It means being aware of who's in the room
Hmm.
and what the energy in the room is. It means discernment in terms of the
Intuitiveness.
complexity that's in front of me. So it's sensitivity to data
Hmm.
and how I connect data. And I think
Yeah.
part of my mission really is to disconnect that word sensitive from just meaning overwhelm and
Hmm.
overly emotional or expressing emotion. That's one part
Yeah.
of it. Just
Yeah.
one part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Intuition.
using your intuition.
Intuition in the
Exactly.
boardroom. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. We all
sure.
have it.
Sure.
It's just we need again, it starts with conversations like you and I are having right now. This is how we begin to shift the perspective, change the lens that we're looking at it through having these conversations and bringing awareness because so many people out there don't even know that this is an issue. So by having these conversations, by planting these seeds for people, this is how things begin to shift. So, if sensitivity is actually an intelligence, what kind of leadership culture have we been suppressing for generations
Well,
then?
the leadership culture, maybe I best answer that as an anthropologist. So we have a leadership culture that is very strictly hierarchical, meaning there's the lone
Mhm,
wolf, the super CEO or a small group of CEOs, and they have the power to decide everything, right? They keep everybody in their hand, and their way of doing
mhm.
things is the highway. And there are other cultures where
Yeah.
that kind of power is distributed, where the group takes a decision. There are people in there that take, like the peace chief or the war chief or whatever, they sort of possibly they in the end take the last decision on things because they have the authority.
Mhm.
But it's not the loudest person in the room or the richest person in the room.
Right.
So I think what we've been
Mhm,
suppressing is the intelligence of a team, the intelligence of a community, the distributed responsibility for decisions. And it serves, we have this myth about the lone wolf and the strong leader, but it also has the effect that power and money is funneled into the hands of very few people. So we could talk about history, Western history,
mhm,
where
mhm.
that was the way things were organized. Now, if you go to other societies, they don't have that. To them, it is impossible to believe that there will be one person taking huge decisions on the well-being of the whole group. So I think that's what has been suppressed, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, absolutely. I mean, look at the wealth distribution in the world. 1% of the world has 99% of the wealth. Like that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And yes, of course, when we're talking about decisions for a community, for a group of people, it should be up to the all of the people should have a say in what happens instead of one person deciding for everyone and this is how it is. You accept it and that's all there is to it. No, that needs
Yeah,
to
or we get
change.
these things that they pretend that they ask other people's opinions, and then in the end, and behind closed doors, we
Yes.
have the old game, right? Right.
Yep. Yeah, yep. It there's so much to change. I'm loving this conversation. It is so powerful. What does a highly sensitive leader see that others routinely miss, especially in moments of chaos or urgency?
Well, I think the special gift is that highly sensitive people can hold a lot of complexity and they can hold paradox a lot longer than others can. So if I see more dots, a contradiction is not
Mhm,
simply, a cause and effect sort of thing, but we tend to see more options because we see more dots. So that I think in
mhm,
itself is a huge gift. And the other one is that we take into account, let's say I'm in a room and it's chaotic, and I can sense as a leader the emotions going around, the fear, the dissociation, the shaming and the blaming. A highly sensitive leader has the option to say, okay, I'm sensing all these things in the room, and that gets in the way of reorganizing this chaos, of finding a solution,
mhm,
right? Rather than doing what usually happens is to shame and
mhm,
blame even more and to shut up whoever has a different opinion on your take, which is not very helpful.
mhm. No, of course. Silencing this is what makes the world go around is this difference of opinion. And this ties into conversations, I think, too, where we are so divided. And we're seeing this right now. If someone has a differing opinion than you, automatically you're discounted. You're wrong. You're no, I want nothing to do with you. That's absolutely ridiculous. We can coexist with different opinions, with different political idea, whatever it is. So what if we sit on opposite sides of the aisle? I have not changed as a person. You liked me 5 minutes before we started talking about my we'll use
Mhm.
politics as an example because that's what we're seeing. But 5 minutes ago, when we weren't talking about political ideology, we were fine. Now that I disagree with you, or you've learned that I sit on this side of the aisle as opposed to you, now I'm a different. You want nothing to.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. We can exist with differing opinions. This is what the beauty is of being a human being is having our own sovereignty, our own free will, our own free
Yeah, and I
thought.
think,
We don't have
no,
to
and I
agree
mean,
on
I think we can
everything.
agree, most of us I would say, could agree that our ass is on the grill, right? Meaning we have huge
Yeah.
problems
Mhm.
and we are not going to solve them with a leadership
Yes.
that is obsessed with being right and having the only true solution to everything, right? And the solution usually is, as long as my personal gain
Right.
is fine, who gives a shit?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, a good leader leans on their team. They ask their team for input. They admit when they do not have
Hmm.
all the answers and that it's okay to ask for help. But again, this ties into more conditioning. And I think women deal with this more so specifically is that it's a sign of weakness to ask for help. It's a sign of weakness to lean on others. You are supposed to be able to do and figure out everything yourself. So again, it's shifting that perspective to wake people up to say that or to see that it is okay to ask for help. That is a sign of strength in my opinion. Is when you're able to lean on your team and ask for help. That's what a
So
good
that's
leader
in. I
does.
think I find that an interesting phrasing. I think I used to say it the same way you say it, and I've reflected on that a lot since I've been writing my
Mhm,
book. So what you say is that archetype of the lone wolf, right, or the hero? Those two
mhm,
archetypes, which are
mhm,
very much. ingrained in our society that is leadership. But the more interesting thing is,
Yeah.
why is it termed, or I think that's why it's termed, asking for help. Now, if I, again, say that as an anthropologist, in certain human societies, it would not be asking for help, it would be holding counsel. Using the
Holding space, whatever
intelligence
you
of
want
the
to call it.
group,
Yes.
because everybody knows, I mean, deep down they know nobody knows everything. We just have this myth
That's
that a
right.
leader is supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And then if he's just a human being, or he says, I sense there's more to this, so let's use the community intelligence here, it's asking for help. I think that is the wrong framing.
Yeah.
It's the wrong framing.
Okay. Well, I mean, look at this putting leaders, putting people of authority on pedestals doctors are a perfect example in Western medicine. They are supposed to be the white coats are the be all and end all. They know everything, and they don't. They simply do not. But we've been conditioned to put all of our trust into these people and believe and hang on every word they say and take it as the gospel, when that is just not so. No one person can be that. We are infallible. We make mistakes. Shit happens. So to put all of our trust and to hang on every word that one person's, that it's just not right. I mean, look at cult leaders, right? I mean, Charles Manson, like all of these people, like these are examples of narcissism, and one person has all the answers and one person controls the community. Like this
but
just
let's go
doesn't
back,
work.
right? You're totally right. And where does that come from? I think in our world, it also comes from that long period of the Christian church having so much power, and feudalism and things like that, where human beings it was very dangerous to have sovereignty. It was very dangerous to have your own opinion, or to not follow what you were told. So that is so deeply ingrained in all of us. And that's why it still gives us safety. And I think that is one of the major shifts happening now, that more and more people say, hold on, there must be something inside of me that that has, how can I say that in English, that to have that grit, to be allowed to have that grit and that authority. So and especially for sensitive people, to say, you know what, since you allowed me to swear, get off my ass, okay, about being sensitive. I'm not going to take that as an insult anymore. I refuse to take that as an insult or as a limitation, because I know better. I know that this is not a limitation at all.
Yeah, well, free thinkers, people who have sovereignty over are in the powers that be's minds, very dangerous, because then you can't control them like you can control all the other puppets. And it all ties back to the conditioning and the building of these systems, where this is how it's going to be. You're born, you go to school, you get your education, you get out, you buy a house, you get married, you have a family, and you work. That's it. And you will own
Oh, you're a
nothing, and you will
slave.
be happy. You will
You're a
accept it, and
slave.
that's it. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. They want robots who will just follow and toe the line, and this is how you're going to live your life. If people step outside of that and think for themselves and say, wait a minute, I don't have to do shit this way anymore. No, things are changing. And this is what we're seeing, is people are awakening to the possibilities that are available to them and saying, I don't have to live this way anymore. This is bullshit. This doesn't work for me.
And it doesn't work for others. It doesn't
And
work
it's
for
time to
me, and it doesn't
change.
work for others. Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
That's it. Yeah, I'm just speaking generally. It doesn't work for me. This is what people are saying. Wait a minute. This doesn't work anymore. I don't want to fall in line and follow this system and follow this way of doing things, because it's not right. I am a free thinker. I am a human being. I have sovereignty. I have autonomy over my thoughts, what I do, what I want to do, all of these things. And it really is beautiful to see the shift. We still have a long way to go, I think, but at least we have started. The steps are being taken by
and you're
people, which is great.
contributing to it, through your show. I really love that.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. What do you think would radically change if leadership development started in the body instead of the boardroom?
Yeah, so in my book, I define leadership as presence, right? And as courage. You need to be courageous to be a real leader. So where do both of those things live? They live in your body. If you come into a room and people look, sometimes you have these people that come into a room and people notice because they have a presence, right?
Yeah.
Something that tells you that person has an opinion, or that person has an inner security, that person stands for something. I'm not necessarily talking about charisma, but it's that presence. That's the best word I could come up with. And that is something you pick up through your body. So if people would trust more that embodied presence of leaders, they could actually discern whether they have a narcissist in front of them, or somebody who's just facade, or somebody who's all about power, and then decide. But it's because we are so disconnected from our bodies, which is also part of the game, to disconnect people from their bodies, right?
Yep.
We would be a lot more sovereign. We would be a lot more, we would have leaders that could, in the second step, we would have leaders that can actually connect with their group, with their team, on a human level, right? Rather than saying, we're going to do this, and that, and then leave the room. So there are no discussions.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I talk about embodiment.
Yeah, exactly. Embodiment is everything. And, when we see leaders doing this, this model, embodying and listening to their bodies, it is also a permission slip for those around you to see that, wait a minute, this is how we should be doing things. This is great. I love this. I have input. I have a say. My leader, the leader here, is coming to me and asking my opinion, or asking what I thought, what I think. That's what, again, this is what a good leader does. It models the behavior that he or she wants to see in their team.
Totally.
And supports that.
And everybody can tell whether somebody asks you that question of your opinion honestly or not. And antenna that picks that up is your body.
Yes, absolutely. How much of what we call leadership style is actually unmanaged trauma playing dress up as authority?
That's a huge question. So I think we have a mix here. Like I said, we could discuss that for a long time. So let me just think for a moment. I think that many people that have reached higher positions have gone through traumatic experiences to get there. They had to leave huge parts of themselves behind, for one. Meaning, let's say that person is actually a very, in my language, sensitive person that needed to change the way they feel and behave and expose themselves to others in order to get to that position, right? So there's trauma involved there. Then somebody might carry deep, what we call attachment trauma from their childhood, meaning they did not experience a healthy way of communicating with people. And when they are in a boardroom, they don't know how to actually communicate with people because they have a faulty representation of what healthy communication is. So they retrieve to a style of, I told you, you just do what I say. Because they don't know how to say, I'd actually like some help here in the way you described it.
Yeah.
So they retrieve into just giving an order and knowing, because they have the authority, well, if this goes wrong, I can, what's the English word for that? I can give the responsibility for this problem to somebody else. I can
Yeah, I
blame
could blame
someone
someone
else.
else for this.
So, or
Mm-hmm.
you have people, that have been to a war as children. There's so many people that grow up in war zones, and what they bring all of that fear, all of that restriction inside themselves into the boardrooms, into their decisions, into what they build. So if I've experienced a lot of violence, for example, my first priority is to be safe at whatever cost. So if that
Right.
means ruining my business because I have a certain idea of what safe is, and I can't listen to anybody else who's trying to tell me, look, this thing is going to crash if you don't see this, this, and that. But my idea is only that way will keep me safe. That's what I will do.
Yeah. Right. Just wild. Oh,
Trauma is a huge,
so
huge
much here.
subject.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. How does a highly sensitive leader maintain sovereignty without hardening or disappearing?
I think the very first thing is to admit who you are and to understand that that means you have a ton of gifts. But as everything else in life, it has a dirty end of the stick. So, yeah, being
Yes.
sensitive to a lot of signals or a lot of
Mm-hmm.
input, having that kind of brain that is on purpose has less filters than other brains, means that you need to be careful what you expose yourself to. And that is, high sensitivity is a spectrum. So I, for example, can't take a lot of noise. If I go to a noisy restaurant, after an hour, I'm fried. Other highly sensitive people have a lot of tolerance for that than I
Right.
do. I happen to be a musician, so I hear everything and I can't
Mm-hmm.
filter it out. So it's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the other aspect is, since we have this huge radar system for what's actually going on, for the atmosphere in the room, what's going on in people, how much pain they carry, how much joy they carry, how many questions they have. We need to learn what I call energetic housekeeping. You have to learn about energy systems. So we could talk about that for a long time too, because human beings are electromagnetic beings. At least that's my belief. Meaning we pick up a lot of energies in the room. And if we don't learn to set boundaries to that, or to not accept every energy in the room as our own responsibility, we get exhausted. Yeah. Or the
Yeah, for sure. We
yeah,
are all
or the
energy.
empath in us that cannot say no. As a leader, you need to say, I know this is shitty, and it has consequences for that group or for this, or if you have to let people go, whatever. But sometimes we need to do that. But then there are ways to do it and ways to do it, right?
Yeah,
Does that answer your question?
for sure. Yeah, yep. We have to learn to protect our
Yes.
energy,
Yes.
for sure. What does the world lose when sensitive leaders stay quiet to survive?
Well, everything we talked about, that it loses an do you say it alternative or alternate paradigm
Mm-hmm.
for how things could be organized, how we could live together.
Mm-hmm.
So it loses the people.
And
Yeah,
that's what we
and it
need.
loses the
That's what we
people that
need.
are so passionate about this. The big frustration of many sensitive
Mm-hmm.
people is that they have, we see potential. We see potential in people and
Mm-hmm.
systems, and we get literally sick if we cannot contribute to changing. We're huge change makers, most of us. And we have a very keen sense
Mm-hmm.
for how to connect the dots in a different way. So that's what we lose. We lose innovative, visionary, creative thinkers, doers, change makers, Empaths. I mean, we lose that whole non-digital aspect of human beings.
Which we need more of. We need more of this. We need more people to step into and own their authenticity, be the change maker that you're here to be, embrace it, embody it, live it, just become it. We need more of that, because this is how things are going to change
Yes.
in the world, is if more people step into and own that
And that's
energy.
what my book is about. And I call that sagacious leadership. And I talk a lot about highly sensitive people in there, but I make a point of saying that it's learnable. It's just a different paradigm, and it has a different tool set. And it is the cooperation between all kinds of people that apply a sagacious way of living and sagacious way of leading that will actually make a difference.
For sure. Well, absolutely. 1000% agree with you. This is why these conversations are so important. We need to continue having them. If our leadership systems were designed by the most emotionally intelligent people instead of the most ambitious, what do you think would collapse overnight?
Machiavellianism. So by that I mean I'm not quite sure if everybody knows, that book that Machiavelli wrote. I think in English it's called The Prince, where he lays out how to manipulate people. So that's this highly manipulative aspect that we have in society that is actually if you ask people, that people would say no, but it's actually the path to success in our society is to behave like that. And I think that would change.
There's a lot that needs to change. I think I say this all the time. I honestly think the systems need to be burned to the ground and built up again from the foundations. We need to. And I said to someone once a couple of years ago, we were talking about the healthcare or sick care system and the education system. I said, these systems are so broken. And she said to me, she said, Brad, no, they're not. She said they are working
Yes,
exactly
I
how they were
heard that
created to work.
podcast.
They are
I
not
listened to
broken at
that
all.
podcast, and I actually said, "Oh my God, she's so smart." Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was
Yes,
absolutely
it was.
brilliant. And that was a very eye-opening moment for
I
me.
bet. I was to me too. I was like,
Very
gosh, why didn't I
eye-opening.
think of that myself? Yeah, that was brilliant.
It is. It's true.
Agree.
So they need to be burned to the ground and started from the ground up again.
Yeah, a lot of them.
If sensitivity, embodiment, and discernment are not weaknesses, but evolutionary leadership capacities, what responsibility do those who possess them now carry in a world that's unraveling?
Yeah. To put it bluntly, get your ass up.
Stand the fuck up.
I stayed in the victim role for a long time, and most of my clients do, because we carry so much trauma. We carry so much damage to our self-worth, having lived in a world who keeps telling us that we're worthless, basically, and we are a problem, right? That our gifts are a problem, and we have internalized that very deeply.
Yeah.
So that is and I'm very ambitious by that. So I don't want to poo-poo ambition. I'm very ambitious about teaching people
Right.
to
Mm-hmm.
to let go of that victim attitude, and to very deeply, and if I have to pick them one by one, and tell them to no longer hide underneath the table, but to demand a seat at the table, to be heard and seen, and not wait. We will wait forever if we wait that system to give us permission to talk.
Yeah. That's when it's time to build your own table.
Yeah,
Fuck
either
it.
build your own table, or look at systems where it's possible to take a seat at the
Mm-hmm.
table. Might not be a huge corporation, but
Yeah.
I think there are businesses and places and nonprofit organizations and other places where you have a mixed bag, where it's actually totally possible
Yeah.
to have a significant seat at the table and bring change. Because most people will say,
Yeah.
thank God, finally somebody said that. I had the courage, we're back to why leadership is courage, the courage
Yeah.
to say what I've been thinking for years.
That's all it takes is one person, because more often than not, there are people that are in that same room that are thinking exactly what you're thinking. They are just too scared to stand up and speak it out loud for fear of being cast out, cast aside, told to shut up,
Yeah,
whatever it
see, and
is.
highly sensitive people have a lot of practice in this. So when people now try and do that to me, I say, I've been there, bought the t-shirt. I can't be bothered. Right? Having grown out of that victim, I
Yeah,
just
for
look
sure.
at these people very coldly and say, I see your game. Honestly, that's so cheap. You don't
And I'm
know.
not
You don't have
playing.
a better argument than that I'm a woman and sensitive. That is lame. That is really lame. Yeah.
Do you believe that the world is suffering more from a lack of intelligence or a lack of depth and integration?
Ooh, I looked at that question before. Being a scientist, I'm high on definitions. So there are so many kinds of
Mm-hmm.
intelligence. So I would say we are too
Mm-hmm.
high on data-based. I can't even say if it's intelligence, but data-based ways of perceiving intelligence. And many people have said that, emotional IQ, and you've got all kinds of other IQs now. I mean, I'm not talking about
Yeah.
something new. So we are short of allowing people with deep intelligence in the sense of being able to perceive complexity to be part of that discussion. Maybe that's the best way I can answer your question.
Okay. Beautiful. For the listener who's realizing that they are highly sensitive or a deep thinker or both and have spent years stuffing that down, hiding it, overriding it, what is the first thing that they need to stop
Hiding,
doing?
just like I said, hiding and sorry if I say too, taking responsibility for everybody else's shit and fixing everything in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those things are very, very
Yeah.
important.
Okay. For sure. What does listening to the body actually look like for someone who's never been taught how to do that safely?
I think I would start with very simple things, with what do I feel like right now? Which part of my body feels this anxiety or the joy? Let's not always talk about the negative. Where in my body does that live?
Yeah.
And just, really, really little things, like let's say you're enjoying a conversation and then reflecting back into your body, well, where does that live? It's like recalibrating to that. I can only do this movement to that sort of wave of something,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just
Mm-hmm.
thinking about how do I feel. It's a huge difference. I think I'm happy. If you
Well,
say
that
that, Brad.
takes,
I think I'm happy. What happens
yeah,
in your body? Nothing. You
I
think,
think
yeah, you
nothing.
don't feel.
I am happy. I am
Yeah.
loving this
No, I
this
mean, I just at the
conversation right
point of
now.
an
It
exercise
feels
is if
amazing.
I just I think I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing moves in my body.
No, it's about embodiment. You have to be. You
Yeah,
have
and
to
so it goes
feel
the other
it.
way around too. If I want to know more about that, let's just try and switch sides a little bit. And for some people,
Mm-hmm.
that's really daring because there might be things popping out that
Mm-hmm.
they're so afraid of. That's why I'm suggesting to start with something positive and just do it slowly. Be very curious about yeah.
Small micro steps.
And I'm glad you're enjoying this conversation.
Instead of looking at the
Yeah.
whole staircase. I'm loving it. It's
Mm.
so important. But it's a matter of taking it one step at a time so that you don't get overwhelmed. Don't look at the whole staircase. Look at one step at a time. That's
Yeah,
all you
that's
have to do. Baby steps. That's
yeah,
it. That's
that's a
all it
beautiful
takes.
metaphor. I remember that one.
And next thing you know, you're at the
Hmm.
top of the staircase.
Yeah.
That's it. How does a person stay engaged with a world in crisis without becoming numb, cynical, or chronically activated?
The chronically activated, we could spend a whole podcast on too. But a short way of saying is that people that have a sense for what's going on also have a sense of responsibility. And what happens is that we have the feeling we have to fix all of it because nobody else is. And that is, if we're taking the staircase again, if everybody takes one step, or let's say we're building a staircase, one builds the railing, the other one builds that step. So to understand, to not accept all that responsibility as your own. Okay. And the other one is to just see, what can I change in my immediate environment? On what do I have the actual power to change
Yes.
something? And what do I need to let go? Very important. And it takes out a lot of the overwhelm.
That's powerful. Yeah, it does for sure. This is something that I recorded an episode of. I'm doing these episodes now called Brad's Corner. I do one a month, and this was the first episode that I recorded. This was the whole catalyst. Is I had been struggling with and thinking a lot about what has been going on in the world, government
Mhm.
level, all of these things, what the hatred, the divisiveness, Canada, the US, all over the world. And I kept asking, like, what can I do about this? What is my part? How can I change things? And through many, many conversations that I've had with all of the incredible women that I've had the honor of speaking with, and then conversations with friends about it, I realized, and I came to this realization that, you know what? There's nothing I can do at a governmental level. That I cannot affect change at that level. But what I can do, to your point, is just worry about my immediate area, what I can do personally. And what that is for me is continue doing my work, continue having these conversations, continue gathering like and heart-minded souls along my journey and have these conversations and continue putting my light and shining the light of all of these women out into the world. That's
That's a
all I
lot.
can do.
That's a
Because
lot.
it, well, I mean, it's I don't know, it really hit me that's there's no point in putting myself down that rabbit hole. It doesn't serve anybody, least of all me. I cannot change those things. The only thing I can change is my reaction to things. That's
Yeah.
all we have control over. That's all we have power and autonomy over, is our own reactions and how we deal with things. So why put myself through that shit? I'm not saying, I think we need to educate ourselves and be aware of what's going on, bring self-awareness to what is going on around you and what is happening in the world, but don't let it suck you in. Continue on your path, continue doing your work, continue meeting like and heart-minded souls that think the same way as
Yeah.
you, and surround yourself with
Yeah.
those people. That's how you're going to
Yeah.
make change in the
Mhm.
world.
And let go of those,
That's
that
it.
don't
That's
care. I mean, I used to get so angry
yes.
and uptight about all these people. I live in a really wealthy area that really, really honestly don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It is something as a sensitive
Mm-hmm.
person, I find, or as an intelligent person, I find so flabbergasting. I just cannot, and I think a lot of people that listen will feel the same. I cannot imagine why you could not see and not care. And it used to really cost me a lot of
Mm-hmm.
energy because I'm always trying to convince people, and I've stopped doing that. It's not worth my energy. I'm not a preacher, I'm
Yeah.
not a missionary. I'm doing what you said. I'm looking for the people that this my message can help and that we can build a wave.
Yes.
Yeah. So know where you put your energy,
Yeah.
discernment. Which fight are you going to pick?
Mm-hmm.
And don't pick all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you willing to die
Yeah.
on that hill? And why should people take up space in your head rent free?
No,
They don't deserve it.
no, no. Absolutely. Well put.
It's hard. It takes practice, it takes work, and it takes time to
Mm.
arrive at that way. And you're going to fall off now and then. It happens. We're human. We're fallible. But if we keep that in mind and keep moving on that path, keep moving in that direction, you'll be far better off. It's not worth giving your energy to that shit because you can't change people. You cannot. It
Such a
is
lesson.
impossible. Nor is it
Yeah.
your responsibility to
Such a
change people.
lesson. I wish I'd understood that as a young person. Of course, I knew it, but I was such a
Me
rebel, and I was
too.
like, no. Yeah, cost me dearly.
I want to dive into and talk a little bit about AI and what's going on
Mm.
here in the world and this conversation. As AI accelerates
Mm.
decision making, what inner capacities do humans need to strengthen instead of outsourcing?
While I was reflecting on your questions, I came up with something, or actually AI came up with something because I've trained it on my thing, that to one of your questions about AI, and it came out that AI is a socially acceptable dissociation. And I really liked that. I
Hmm.
really did. Because I think that,
Hmm.
I use AI and I think it has its place to make certain things more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it
Mm-hmm.
serves that agenda of distraction. And it serves
Right.
disembodying people even more. So that's one part. The
Mm-hmm.
other part is in German, in English too. In Italian, you don't have that, but in English and in German, you have the word it. So whenever I can,
Mm-hmm.
I stop people in their tracks when they say, ChatGPT, he said, she said. And I said, no, it's it. It's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a huge difference. To me, that thing is
Mm-hmm.
it. It's not a human being. I think that is really
Yeah.
something we all are in danger of losing that distinction. And
Mm-hmm.
what AI will never be able to do. I have a chapter, in my book on this, and I talked to a client of mine who's a professor, working with AI and in a technical university, and I said, please go over my stuff because I might be just saying a lot of shit here, or just personal opinion. And
Yeah.
he really opened my eyes to the fact that a lot of AI systems are stupid. So I used it, I use it also to polish my book because English is not my native language, right? So sometimes I'm not sure, is it add, in, over, under,
Right. Mm-hmm.
these um, prepositions, I think
Yeah.
they're called,
Mm-hmm.
or other
Right.
terms. But in
Yep.
any case, sometimes it will give me sentences. And now when after I talk to this client of mine, I look at these sentences even more clearly and I say, that sounds wonderful, but it means nothing. It means nothing. If I really take that sentence apart, or if I'm somebody who's not, doesn't know
Mm-hmm.
what I know, there's no added value in that sentence whatsoever. And I think that, at least at this moment,
Mm-hmm.
is something people don't understand about AI. They give away again their power, their discernment to somebody, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not, because I think it's a body, because that's, human beings are very easily confused about that,
Yeah.
that knows better.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had countless incidents with that machine where it didn't know better, because all it does is take data it has and put them together in a probability. So if I say this and this is my sentence, or can you tell me what other thing I could add to that sentence? It seeks how many times has this context been presented in the data, and then it strings it in a line. So it doesn't understand a fucking thing. And that's what he made really, really clear to me. And it was like a relief. I was like, when I observed that, I said, yeah, it's hugely useful if I want
Mm-hmm.
to create a table of content, if I want to have it create tables for me or give me other ideas. But it does not understand what I'm saying. Does not understand.
Yeah. Well, just like it can never ever replace human
No.
connection, because people, you always hear people saying, "Oh my God, it's going to take over my job. We're going to lose so many jobs and all the." Yes, there will be jobs lost. Of course, there will. This is what happens when
Mhm.
technology evolves. It happens, but it can never, ever, ever
So
replace human connection. And this is what people are
yeah.
craving
So
more
tell
of
me,
now.
sorry if I interrupt you. I'm just so passionate about this. What is the
Mm.
mark of
No,
human
it's okay.
connection? Is to be understood. Relationship.
Relate.
So relationship is to be
Yeah,
understood. It's not,
relationships,
if that thing doesn't
relatability.
understand
Yeah.
anything, it cannot create true connection. It can mimic it, and it does it really well.
Yes.
But it's
Sure.
not
Hmm.
not being understood by that
A true
machine. Yeah.
representation.
And that's what the people in power are
Hmm.
playing with,
Absolutely.
Brad. They suggest to us that these machines give
Yeah.
us the connection we crave, right? So it's a
No, they
deception.
don't. They can't. It's
Well, it's
impossible.
not impossible because
Yeah.
we human
Hmm.
beings are so bad at discerning certain things. When we are confronted with certain patterns, like you get a face, two eyes, really big eyes, um, a certain shape of the head, and even if it's just a few lines, we think baby. And what happens next is,
Yeah.
oh, that's how we work, right? So it's so easy to
Mhm.
manipulate human beings on that level.
For sure. So, do you think our obsession with AI is really about innovation, or is it a socially acceptable way to avoid responsibility, uncertainty, feeling?
All of it. All of it. But it is
Mhm.
also a hugely,
You're right. Plain and
it's yeah,
simple.
it's also a very useful tool. It is, but it needs to
Hmm.
be,
It does.
yeah,
It has its purpose. It serves a purpose for
yeah,
sure. It can manage tasks for people so that they don't get caught up in these menial little tasks, and they can focus. This is how someone explained it to me: is you can use it to help you stay on in your
mhm,
lane of genius. You can use it for smaller things so that you're not wasting your time on these menial tasks. That's, as an entrepreneur, say, where you can focus your energy, your time, your focus on your zone of genius, your lane. It takes away some of those things so you don't have to do them. And that's where it's great. It serves great for sure. It's just when people take it to that next level, then we've got
yeah.
some
If we
issues, I
humanize
think.
it, we've got huge issues, and that's if you go to the transhuman agenda, I mean, we could talk about that. This totally mad
Mm,
idea that a Borg or whatever it's called, this half human, half machine, is actually better. It's an improved version
mhm.
of what human beings already
Yeah.
are. I mean, and to the point of your jobs, we could then create jobs that
Mhm,
improve our communities, right? Who says that
mhm, mhm.
doing something for a community is only for the empathic caretakers? It would be very good for all of us to have more sense of community. So we could maybe pay people to create clubs for people to take out the elderly and do something really creative with them and get well paid for it, because the bureaucratic stuff is
Yeah,
being boring bureaucratic stuff, it is from my perspective, is being done by the machine, right? It's only
yeah,
because we
for
say,
sure. I mean, look, we're seeing.
it's only
Go
because
ahead,
we in
sorry.
our society we say, well, the caretaking job, and again we are back to what's important, that's not worth a lot. So they get the minimum pay basically because the CEO.
Yeah, they get
Yeah, and I
shit
mean that
pay,
is
yeah,
how
mhm.
sick is that? I mean, we've got that completely backwards.
Yeah, exactly. It's so backwards. I mean, I've seen clips of robots walking around. I've seen clips of humans walking robotic dog. Like, what are we doing? What is the purpose of
It's
that? What do we need that
dissociation.
for?
It's
That's
disconnection
ridiculous.
and dissociation. That's what it is. And it has, again, I mean, I don't want to be sort of a conspiracy theorist, but I think if you observe things carefully enough, you can see that. Do you say malintent, malinteso? What's the intent behind it? The
Yes,
malintent
malintent.
behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm not saying it's one
Mm-hmm.
person, it's one group. Again, I've been trained as an anthropologist and a biologist, so certain systems, we call that the super system. We have created a super system that brings forth these misalignments, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily one bad
Yep, for
guy or
sure.
one cartel or something. It's, you know,
No.
having said that, there's some really bad people out
Absolutely.
there. So,
Yes,
yeah.
there is, for sure. For sure. But I choose to believe that there is far more good out there in the world than there is bad. It's just that we are misdirected or directed toward all of the negativity because of social media, because of legacy
Yeah.
media. That's all we see. Because good news, positivity doesn't sell, as they say, doesn't sell newspapers are a thing of the past really now, but I mean, it's just that this is all we see. But I choose to believe that there's far more good out there in the world. We just don't see enough of it. That's all.
Yeah.
You have to
And
look for it.
we are trained to focus on the negative because it kicks in our
Yes, for
survival
sure.
mechanism. So they know how to play the
Yeah.
guitar. They do. Or the violin or whatever you
Yes.
want to call it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. What kind of future are we unconsciously creating if we continue to reward leaders who are disconnected from their own humanity?
In the worst case, transhuman society. That would be my worst case. Or we have a society where we
Mm,
have slaves and slaveholders. But I mean, these are, you ask me for the worst case. Or we're just going to create chaos
mhm.
from which nobody benefits at all.
Mm.
No,
Let's
let's
not
not go
go there.
there. We're doing our best not to go there.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. So, who benefits from a culture of, or a culture that trains people to distrust their own inner knowing? I mean, this is what we see. People are disconnected from their bodies. They don't trust their intuition.
Well, we talked about history, right? We talked about how the power
Hmm.
structures that were created and that now, to use that term, live in the superorganism. So, we probably don't have enough time to go into that concept, but the superorganism is basically all the assumed rules we live by that are acceptable, that we seek, that are to
Hmm.
big part unconscious, right? But it's yeah, I think I said
Hmm.
enough about that.
We'll leave it there.
Let's leave it there.
What responsibility, yeah, do you think that deep thinkers have, not to save the world, but to show up differently within it?
I think we talked about a lot of these aspects. So the most
Mhm.
important, what would be the most important one is, for all the ones we picked, is to not, what's the English word for that? Be disowned of your own talents, right?
Mhm.
To really, it always comes back
Mhm.
to self-worth. Did I answer your question correctly?
Yeah.
Hmm?
That's the foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Yep. That's the foundation. We are the foundation for everything.
Yeah.
Trust in yourself. It all starts here at home within
Yeah.
us. That's the beginning of everything.
We cannot, and I don't like to use the word oppose, we cannot create other systems if we don't have a sense of self-worth, because we will have so many holes like a Swiss
Mhm.
cheese for people to poke into and take us apart. So that's the absolute most
Yeah.
important foundation. Is like I said, when people now come and they don't have a real argument, they just tell me that I'm a woman and sensitive, and I'm like, so
Mhm.
what? You used to make
Okay,
me
great.
hugely
And
aggressive, which is also just a way of getting at me, because I was in constant reactivity. So
Yeah.
get out of that reactivity, return to a center. And that's part of the work I do with my clients, is to get out of that reactivity, because that's how we can be manipulated and disempowered.
For sure. For sure. If a listener takes just one thing from this conversation into their life, leadership this week, or the week that this is released, after they've listened to this episode, what do you think it should be?
Give time to listen to what's in the room, to your own intuition, to the things people actually say. Listen in between the lines. Make that a practice.
Beautiful. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I think I am able to put into words what other people think, and they don't have the words for. So I think I'm really good. No, I know I'm really good at listening, reading between the lines, and connecting dots for people. Yeah.
Okay. How do you define success?
Something that brings other people and myself joy and abundance. That is success to me.
Abundance is key. Yes.
Yeah.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
You're asking me as a martial artist, or as a musician?
I'm asking you however you want to answer.
I think having
I'll
that
leave that
grit,
up to you.
having that grit inside, that resilience, that being powerful to me.
Okay. We're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type thing.
Okay. Are you challenging my sensitive complexity? Yeah. You are.
I am. You've got this. I believe in you. You can do it. What is your favorite way to celebrate?
Move, dance, and share time with beautiful people.
Okay. Use one word to describe your 2025.
Discernment.
If you could teach the world one thing,
Beauty.
what would it be? Name one book that changed your life.
The Master and His Emissary by Ian McGilchrist.
Okay. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would
Love.
it be? What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
My voice. I'm a singer.
What's beautiful? What is one word that defines the woman you are becoming?
Powerful.
Love it. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time. What is one habit, ritual, or practice that has been a game changer in your personal growth?
Praying. Now, I have to be careful here. I'm sorry if I have more words, because it means something else. Okay.
No, this isn't
Because it
rapid
means
fire
something
anymore,
else,
so
maybe
it's
in the
okay.
United States, than it means in Europe. So by praying, I mean the ability to surrender to a higher force and having a dialogue with, and letting go of having to create everything by my willpower. And now I have a lot of willpower. It took me a long time to understand that not everything can be achieved through willpower. So since I started doing that as meditative practice and as a practice in surrendering my will, my life has gotten easier.
Beautiful. If you were to introduce yourself to me without mentioning your occupation, where you're from, your ethnicity, your nationality, all of these day-to-day superficial markers that we use in our lives, how would you introduce yourself to me?
I'm a curious soul.
I love that. What is your why?
I'll have to go back to beauty. I mean, beauty in the sense of a beautiful poem, a beautiful flower. I think what we lack in this world is our awareness and our capacity to create beauty. We're so fixed on problems, and I think to bring that back into the human heart is so important.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fact that we're in this belief in society that we want everything now, we're always rushing, we're always on to the next thing, do instead of be. We miss so much when we're not in the it's about being in the present moment and enjoying the beauty, the power in the pause, all of these things. They're simple things. It's very basic, but we have such a hard time because we're so caught up in this. You got to keep pushing, you got to keep going, you got to keep hustling, which is bullshit.
Yeah, it's destructive. It's really destructive. But I also mean, you know, and I'm not just talking about material beauty of apparent, whatever the English word is, but it is our world has become so shiny, so mechanical. There are certain places you go and you see interior designs that are not beautiful. They are just bright and shiny and practical. So there is a disembodiment there as well. Right? So a beautiful flower also wants to be touched because there's so much beauty in doing that, not just looked at. So it's that whole, maybe I should say sensuality, that aspect of sensuality of being in a human body that needs to come back.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me. Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself?
Oh,
that
you
I
did
didn't
ask me
you?
so many questions, but there was one on your sheet that I'd like to answer because I said yes. And that is, you asked me which woman would I like to talk to if I could.
Which is going to be the next question. That's okay.
I didn't know that.
That's all right.
So unfortunately,
that's all right. I will take that as a compliment that I did my job.
You did. I mean, those questions are really interesting.
I received
really
that.
Interesting to reflect on.
Thank you.
So the person, unfortunately, just you're
Thank
welcome. Just left the planet a short while ago, and that is Jane Goodall. Because I think she's just such a remarkable example of what we were talking about. And when I studied biology, I actually wanted to study primates. And she was one of my heroes. So she's been my hero for I don't know how many decades. And I kept following her. And
Yeah.
she is just, she never wanted to change anything, yet she did. We're talking about, and she used her willpower and her determination. We talked about places in one particular area of influence, and she did it brilliantly. And that opened doors to all kinds of other things she might never have intended. And she became such a light figure.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk to
her. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Love yourself.
Okay. Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your corner of the world, your tribe, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Open your heart. That is 10 seconds, but I can repeat it 3 times or 4 times if you like.
No, that's okay. No, we'll take that. That's good. Thank you so much for being here today with me, for taking and making the time, for your vulnerability, for this incredibly powerful, necessary, inspiring conversation. It has been an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed every moment of it. We've had laughs, we've gone deep, and it's been absolutely amazing. And like I said multiple times through the conversation, this is how we're going to make changes, through having these conversations. So thank you for showing up, for shining, and for sharing. I have so appreciated the time that I've got to spend with you, and I'm just grateful to know you, to call you a friend, and to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jole.
you from the bottom of my heart for giving me this platform and possibility to, share what's in my heart and on my mind and on my path, and for asking. Really, I really enjoyed your questions. I had to put some time into them, but now I've taken yet another step into clarity. So thanks a lot for that.
It is my pleasure and my honor. Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest has been Jole Berlage Buccellati.
Excellent.
Buccellati.
Excellent.
Oh, I
You did.
tried. She is an independent sensemaker, a leadership coach, and author that reframes high sensitivity and deep thinking as strategic leadership capacities for a world in crisis. Thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visiophoria.ca. Follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.